Welcome to the 1 Hour Intern. I'm your host, Will Brigger. Today, I'm lucky enough to sit down with two pioneers of the new age of country music, Tyler and Brian, who make up Florida Georgia Line. Less than a decade ago, in their musical careers, they have risen to become one of the most popular country artists with over 9.3 billion streams and 15 number one singles. Tyler and Brian, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us, Will.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So, obviously, these past couple of months have been crazy times. Tyler, you had a kid, you tore your Achilles, and then you had COVID. Brian, a little bit less exciting, but again, facing quarantine and kind of the crazy world right now. What have you guys done to maintain creativity and still, even though your life has changed so much, still make sure that you're creating a product, you're connecting with fans, and you're, moving yourselves forward?
Do you want to start?
And that's a great question. I think, in the beginning of this quarantine and pandemic and, I think March, April, and May, we were in the middle of finishing our fifth record. So we were just kind of as much as we could do and a couple of us get together in a safe environment and kind of record the vocals and finish that out. That was kind of the beginning of the first couple months of it. And then after that, man, it just, I think we've all been kind of riding it out. I think we're all holding out hope for maybe touring this fall or maybe like December or something, but that's obviously this year's kind of been shot. So we're just, I think for Tyler and I both kind of being separated from, he's in Nashville, I'm in Florida. And, I think we've both been enjoying writing on Zoom, writing even songs like by ourselves, just trying to keep the creative momentum. And also finding new outlets, man, and just finding just kind of a creative rebirth, if you will. This has given us a lot of time to think, a lot of time to create. I feel like for me personally, I know Tyler he's hearing me say this again, but I kind of fell in love with my guitar and kind of my craft, and I stopped playing with a pick and really just trying to connect with my guitar, man. And I've really enjoyed this summer. Just I've been kind of carrying around everywhere I go, and even if I took like a little weekend trip somewhere, I always made sure I have it with me. And so just trying to stay on it one way or another, man. To be honest with you, touring that was a big hit for all of us, for the whole entertainment industry, every way you put it. So we're all holding out hope for next year. I think we've with this vaccine coming, hopefully everything's gonna fall in line. And but man, just trying to stay positive. There's been a lot of great family time that we all wouldn't have had. So there's a lot of silver linings, and I think we're all trying to stay active physically, work on our mental health, and just try to elevate this, in this time. I think there was a time towards the, somewhere in April, me and Brittany were in Nashville at our farm in quarantine. And, I just felt like I was in a rut in life, just kind of like living in fear. And I think we all kind of were. And then finally, we were just like, hey, we're going to go home to Florida and just kind of, continue to make smart decisions, continue to kind of separate ourselves, but also you got to get out there and live life. And so, man, I think we're all in a great place. I think we're super thankful to hopefully be at the end of this year and start 2021 and see what happens, man. I think a lot of amazing is around the corner.
Yeah. Tyler, you have anything you want to add to that?
I mean, I think, BK kind of nailed it, but I was just going to say, like, for us, it's like you said, there's been a lot that's been going on in our world here at home, and adding adding a new baby to the mix, and now having 3 under 3 is just it's a challenge, and it's also a blessing. It's an amazing thing. It's been really fun, really challenging, and it's brought us together and brought us closer. And BK said, just staying positive through it all, through my injury, through the COVID thing, and just everything that's happened, all the curveballs that we've been thrown this year, just trying to just still swinging and aiming for the fences and looking for the positives. And there's been a lot of really great blessings amongst the chaos, and so we're really focusing on that and enjoying this time together, and trying to make the most of this unusual lifestyle, this unusual pace. It's the complete opposite of what we're used to. But it's also a lot of times what we've wished for. We've wished for time off. We've wished for time with the family. We've wished for all those things. And so we've gotten it now, and it makes us appreciate and never take for granted, being on the road and our fans and getting to play shows and just all the little things that we, a lot of times, even being able to walk and having 2 feet. I mean, for me, for 3 months, that's the only thing I wish I could do is walk. And so for me and for my family, it's been a reminder. And it's been a grounding year, it's been really good for us. So I think we all needed it, but like BK said, we couldn't be more excited. There's definitely a re-energized excitement about touring again. And I think we feel it. I think our fans feel it. So when we get back on the road, it's going to be incredible. So we're excited for that, but also still trying to make the most of the rest of this year and, being with family and trying to be creative as much as possible and maintain all the businesses and make sure everything's still running and rocking as much as possible.
Yeah, of course. Yesterday, November 16th, you guys announced that you were starting to plan a tour for 2021. So do you guys have any signs of what the future looks like for you, or what this tour looks like? Kind of anything new coming from you guys?
Man, just kind of that. I mean, we don't know a lot, obviously, about what the future holds for COVID and all the protocols that's going to be in place and all that. But for us, we're just preparing for the best. You know what I mean? Or I guess preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. But we're putting a lot of hope in the fact that we're going to be at least able to play arenas next year, and just planning for that. So we don't have the details ironed out or all the cities even or nothing like that. But we just know that we're planning on getting back on the road next year and doing a headline tour and bringing this 5th album to life for the fans.
Yeah, of course. Brian, anything to add to that?
Man, I don't know if we have all the answers to that, but I just know we're excited about the possibilities, and we'll kind of take all the new information and protocols or whatever as they come and just try to make a smart decision. But yeah, we're just holding out hope and planning for the best.
Yeah, of course. So instead of looking forward now, let's rewind time and go back to before Florida Georgia Line. Tyler, you're just a kid from Georgia. Brian, you're just a kid in Florida. What's life like as a little kid for you guys?
Man, for me, I grew up in a small town called Monroe. I played sports. I was a pretty normal kid, enjoyed being outside, enjoyed riding dirt bikes, playing in the woods, all the normal, typical small town Georgia boy stuff, Me and my dad were big into working, so he ran his own company, different companies, and when I was young, I'd work for him, and then I started my own company, detailing cars when I was about 15, and he taught me how to run a business, taught me how to work hard, and did that all through high school. Played basketball and baseball a few years in high school, and then I ended up kind of deciding I'd rather go wash cars and make money after school than run up and down a basketball court. So I started doing that, and then fell in love with music around middle school in church, singing worship songs. And long story short, just continued a passion and love for music and songwriting and creating, and that kind of grew into maybe I'll go to school and study this stuff. Maybe it'll help me get through college and keep me interested. And one thing led to the next. But my childhood was just a pretty simple lifestyle. We were very middle class. Worked hard for everything we had. Didn't have abundance, but had everything we needed. And strong faith, child upbringing, and hard work, and chasing your dreams, and having a lot of fun along the way. So I was really blessed. Both my parents were married, stayed married up until my dad passed away in 2007. I was 20. I was in school when that happened, but grew up with a tight-knit family and watching my parents, love each other. And so I feel really thankful for my childhood and the way I was brought up and the things I was taught, especially now as I get older and have kids of my own. I really can appreciate it even more, and see the value that having parents like I had, the value in that. So very, very thankful.
Can you talk about specific values that they really implemented in your life, or kind of really wanted you to follow, that you see yourself using now?
The first thing that came to mind, I don't know if this is really a value, but this is pretty cool little thing that my dad did that I think I'll do with my kids once they start making money. And even though I was working for him and I was probably making $50 a day, maybe at the most, because I'd make $5 an hour and try to work 10 hours, and I'd have my $50 and we'd go home and he'd have, I think it was 4 envelopes and 10%, so it was pretty taught to me at a pretty young age that 10% of that goes to tithing, 20% of that goes to savings. Another 20% of that's going to go, I forget exactly how it was, but then, I was left with about 30% of play money, or, I could spending money. And it just helped me at an early age, really like compartmentalize when you get a paycheck. Oh, okay, this doesn't go all in my pocket and go straight to Toys R Us. This is, only a portion of this is to go to the music store or Toys R Us or whatever it was. And so that's just a little thing. My dad had a lot of fun little, like, where he'd bring it to life and little things like that. I remember he stood on a bucket at one point. I was probably in 8th grade hanging out with this girl I probably shouldn't have been hanging out with. And I remember he called me in the living room and he was standing on, and he had a 5-gallon bucket. And I said, "What are you doing with that?" And he said, "Well, come here, I want to show you something." And he made me stand up on this bucket, and he said, "All right, give me your hand." And he pulled me off the bucket, and I, fell off. And then he said, "All right, give me your hand again." And he said, "I want you to pull me up on this bucket." Obviously I couldn't do it. And he did all that to tell me that it's a lot easier to pull somebody down than it is to pull somebody up. So I was like, all right, I get it. I probably need to not date this girl, but, I don't know. He was just creative like that and made it a lot of fun. And, just little life lessons like that I'll take into my parenting.
Yeah, of course. Brian, any lessons or values that your parents really pushed onto you?
Man, it was just kind of, I don't know if they pushed it as much as they just kind of lived it out, just working hard, a good work ethic. My dad worked his butt off, and I'd say that, and then just giving back and helping people out, being good to people. And I kind of watched mom and dad be leaders in that in our family, and just whether it was paying for a meal for somebody or helping them out with getting a car, or, my parents, we had enough to get by. We weren't loaded or anything, but my dad was stretching it to help other people. And I think that's admirable. And I think that's something, he's walking the walk. And so those are some life lessons that I think my wife, Brittany, and I, we kind of take with us is, work hard, play hard, give back, repeat, and try to help when we can. And anything that hits home, hits you in your gut and your heart, it connects. So I think that's what we want to spend our time, money, love, energy on,
Were there any times you failed to live up to those standards that your parents, lived by, and where you really learned why they were valuable?
Good questions.
It's a good question.
I mean, if nothing comes to mind.
I'm trying to think of specific stories, but I want to say when I hear that, I don't have any real specific scenarios that come straight to mind or stories. I'm sure I could think of some, but what I have learned throughout life is even in the little things that you maybe you don't do perfectly, because I don't think any of us should try to strive for perfection or nothing like that. But I think there's lessons to be learned. And sometimes if you do everything just the way your parents maybe told you to, then you're going to miss out on a lot of lessons. And they might not be lessons that you're learning the easy way, but to me, it's important, And I know, I mean, even as something as silly as taking care of our body. I mean, take that, for example, eating healthy, training, trying to be the best you can be so that you can live the longest life and have the most fun you can have into your 80s, 90s, 100, whatever. That's something that up until recently, I mean, we beat ourselves up for years on the road. I mean, I know I did. We drink a half a bottle of Jack Daniels, play a show, and drive throughout the night, not even sleep at all, and go into the next show. And just things like that where, I mean, yeah, that wasn't exactly what I was taught from my parents, but there was a lot of lessons learned through that made us who we are, made us grateful, taught us taught us how to grind, taught us how to struggle, taught us how to, if you're going to party like a man at night, you got to be a man in the morning, those types of lessons, and we learned those firsthand. I mean, I can just think of me and BK specifically learning those like back when we were roughing it. So that's just a little example and of not always maybe meeting the perfect standard or what you were maybe taught, but ultimately what you were taught. So you have that to go back to. Even when you messed up, you have the knowledge in your head from your parents. So that's always, I think that's the ultimate. And I'm going to remember that when my kids are messing up, like, all right, it doesn't make you a bad parent when your kids don't do exactly what you say, but it makes you a good parent because they at least have the knowledge and the foundation that you laid for them,
Yeah, of course. Brian, anything come to mind for you, or kind of anything to add to what Tyler said?
Man, I can't think of anything specific on that one.
Yeah. So now let's jump to when you were 17. Brian, it's 2002. Kelly Clarkson just won American Idol. Lose Yourself by Eminem's the biggest song. Gas is only $1.61. Tyler, it's 2004 for you. Yeah by Usher is the biggest song. Shrek 2 is out in theaters. And that's the world. By this time, what's the biggest struggle that you guys have faced and had to overcome?
2004. Probably having to be home by 11 o'clock and really hating that. Probably one of my biggest struggles.
Right. Man, I just say, I grew up playing baseball, so baseball was life for me. So just training and just working overtime, man. I was working on, I wanted to play college baseball, and I got a scholarship to Florida State, went there for a couple years, redshirted my freshman year, stayed another year, ended up transferring back to Daytona State College, and ended up going to Belmont for my last 2 years of eligibility. That's where Tyler and I met. So I kind of hopped around a little bit, man. And that's one of those things, man. You're it's kind of the journey, when you think, Florida State was my dream school, was my dream scenario, and I kind of knew it was time to go. I just felt in my gut, I felt like God was calling me somewhere else. I knew that it was just kind of time to go. And anytime that I was thinking about this lately, anytime that a lot of great things have happened, it may rub somebody wrong. It may seem unmanageable, but moving to Nashville, me and Tyler starting a duo with no fans, nothing, us driving ourselves to our shows, us, both getting married when our careers were both taking off. All these things, man, may seem crazy or out of line to other people's plans, but just owning your life, man, and owning where you're at and just enjoying the ride, that's where we're at for sure.
How do you know it's time to make the gut decision to kind of change something, transfer from Florida State, your dream school, or to even make the decision to stop playing baseball at Belmont College?
I don't know, man. I think there's just something inside of you. If you're willing to chase it down, I think God, the universe, I think there's an open door. I think you can kind of tell, you kind of know. It's just, are you willing to walk through it? I think that takes faith. It takes courage, and I don't know, man. I think you just sometimes I even look for signs, to be honest with you. I mean, whether that's a song that comes on the radio or a plane flying by or something. I mean, I look for signs all the time that just kind of confirm, or little synchronicities in life. But man, when something just kind of hits you and you kind of know, and you can't take it off your mind, and you just got to go for it.
Yeah, of course. Tyler, would you add anything to that, kind of following your gut, moving along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% agree with BK. And I think for me, it was always an adrenaline rush whenever there was some unknown or some fear or something I was about to jump into that was just like jumping off into the deep end. And you have no idea how deep it is or what, barely how to swim. For me personally, that's like a rush. I don't know why. I almost love that. And I think I get that from my dad. I mean, I remember he started over financially in different companies probably 5 or 6 times that I remember, because I don't know if it was because of this, but he must have felt some rush of adrenaline of this unknown or a new challenge or whatever. So I definitely feel that, and I sort of like it. So but I do think it takes a lot of faith and a lot of courage and a lot of confidence, and then yeah, just going with that. When you feel that little tug or you see a door open, just not being afraid to think it's coincidence, or just not being afraid to run through it, and don't play it off like it's just coincidence, or I think everything happens for a reason. And I think if you, like BK said, if you kind of pursue that and keep your eyes and ears open and just look for opportunities that are right in front of you a lot of times, I think there's a lot to be said about that.
So you guys did have that opportunity. You met each other in a campus worship group. You had both been playing music a little bit, and you just decided to take a risk and pursue your career. Can you talk about making that decision and what the struggle, putting 10,000 hours of work in to become successful in those first 2 years, that big risk, what was that like for you guys?
For me, I mean, I remember it being a really fun challenge and something that we were just like, we're going to do this shit. We're going to crush this. I mean, in our heads, we were probably already whatever you want to call us, but we weren't nobodies. Nobody knew us, but we knew like, yo, we're just writing these songs. We're going to go play these shows. Like, and we were very like, just looking at the next week. Like if we had 2 shows booked that weekend, we were rocking, you know what I'm saying? Like we were and doing whatever it took to do it. And for us, I mean, BK, we're both built like athletes. So we really like a good challenge. We like to struggle. We like to be told we can't do something and then go after it. And we like not having a plan B, I mean, I think the struggle was knowing that we both had a 4-year degree from Belmont and probably should be, landing ourselves into some job that was, paying us well and doing this and, whatever. And we were 2 years out of college and still I only had $12 to my name. BK probably didn't have much more. We were scraping by every month just so we could write songs and go play shows on the weekends and pursue the dream of music. So I think there for a while, I mean, I would call that a struggle for sure. I mean, a fun struggle and something that we knew we weren't going to starve to death, but we were definitely going to starve a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And so those were years though that I would never take back. It made us who we are and taught us a ton. And, going against the grain, going against what everyone would say that you would want to do after college, we just wanted to pursue one thing, and that was writing songs and play music.
So you do have $12 to your name. Brian, you don't have much more. How do you convince yourself to keep going, to keep facing the struggle and kind of move to the next week and not, follow the straight and narrow path?
I don't think we gave ourselves another option. I think that was the only plan. We're going to figure out how to make it, Yeah. I don't know, like Tyler said, just kind of echo that. We just felt like our energy was kind of undeniable and just trying to keep showing up, keep hitting it hard. And, if we got a no here and a no there, it's like, all right, we'll walk this way and go get a couple yeses this way. And you start building, followers, you start getting fans in town in Nashville, you start showing up for shows and just putting the time in, man. Anything great takes time, and again, like Tyler said, I wouldn't change it for the world. We're part of the building this from the ground up. We didn't, enter a singing show and just were offered on private jets and buses and all that, which is also awesome, which is also another route, which is the cool story about life. You can get successful and chase your dreams in many different routes. It happens all different ways. So not knocking that at all. I'm just saying for us, we started this thing in my Tahoe, one fan at a time, and very grateful for it. That's the foundation of our brand, our music, our business. It is hands-on, man. It's fun. It's fun to look back and think about that because it's those moments when you're sitting there talking about it. Hey, you want to book a show? Let's book a couple shows. Let's write some songs. Let's start a band. And then to actually keep showing up and keep showing up and keep showing up. So anybody out there listening that's going to hear this, man, just keep showing up, keep trying. I played golf today. Golf is a lot like sometimes songwriting. You're going to have some good days. You're going to have some shitty days. You're going to have some amazing days, but you
all
just
my days at golf
showing up. You know what I'm saying?
All my golf days are shitty days.
I had a bad day today. It was a bad 9.
So any other lessons that you took from, that really hard struggle going on and, continuing to show up, anything you learned, any advice to kind of convince yourself to keep showing up?
Man, I think it's just pursuing what we love, man. I mean, we didn't have to convince ourselves that much, for us it was like what we wanted to do. So we were so driven to let that be our job because we love it so much. I think there's nothing more beautiful than getting to truly love what you do. And we wanted that to be our number one job so badly that we just didn't even have to think about it, whether we were going to show up or not. It was just what we were chasing, right? So I think, I know I'll teach my kids, man, whatever you love the most, try to figure out a way to make that create income for yourself. You don't have to not like your job. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest blessings in our life, I think, that we get to call music our job as well. And, still balance it out and make sure you don't lose the fun in it, because a lot of times what you love can become a job, and it can start to feel like a job. And so taking some time back when it starts to feel like a job is also important.
Yeah, of course. So now we're kind of at a halfway mark of the interview, about 30 minutes in. I want to go to the segment called the coffee break, where you guys can tell a funny or embarrassing story, less about advice, but more about kind of a time where, you failed during a performance, or you kind of were just really embarrassed with yourself. Does anything come to mind to you guys?
I don't know.
I
can't think of a time. Tyler, can you?
Yeah, BK's never been embarrassed. Neither have I.
It doesn't really happen.
It was pretty much perfect. No, I'll tell you what's embarrassing, and it happens to me at least once a weekend, if not every show. But there's a lot of lyrics in our songs, and we have to sing them pretty much straight through for an hour and a half. And a lot of times your muscle memory just does it. You don't even have to think about the lyrics. They just come. But a lot of times, if you start to think about the lyrics, you'll forget the lyrics. So multiple times a weekend, I'll just be in the middle of singing a song or about to hit a second verse, and I'll just have I'll go, wait, what's the lyric coming up? And then I won't be able to think of it. And then before you know it, it's past the moment. I'm looking over at BK, hoping I can read his lips, and then looking at the fans trying to read their lips. And then it's just a train wreck. But, and I've gotten almost used to it where it doesn't embarrass me anymore, but it's definitely a humbling moment when that happens, because everybody else is looking at you like, yo, bro, you're supposed to know this. These are y'all songs. So anyways, that's nothing major, but that's definitely a humbling moment.
Yeah. Brian, any funny stories? Not necessarily embarrassing, just, something that makes you laugh when you think about yourself?
Oh man. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint one thing. I mean, I'd say it's probably happened once or twice, but maybe tripping on stage, definitely forgetting lyrics here and there, but getting a little sniper shot on the old, that's what we used to call it when you're running, playing baseball and somebody trip. But no, that's happened to me a couple times. I think one time on the Luke Bryan tour. Tyler, I think you got it one time on the Luke Bryan tour.
Yeah, I had a good fall.
Me and you just hit a step or something.
Yep.
That's not fun at all. But it happens. Life is real, and live music is real too. So one of them things, man. But I don't know. I can't think of anything to. I just think the whole journey is fun, man. Every step of the way, from us sleeping in a van to, having 12, 13 guys on one bus to, where we're at now with mini buses and production's a lot bigger. But again, man, you just build so many memories, and you build that foundation and that brotherhood. And that all comes to life on stage. That all comes to life in the songs, all that energy, all that, memories, all those years combined, everything, the whole story really starts to make sense, especially, as we come hopefully to tour next year. It's a lot of anticipation. I feel like we've all come a lot closer this year, even through the distance. I think we're all ready to get back out on tour and rock this thing and bring these songs back to life, man. been too
Yeah.
much of a break.
So let's talk a little bit more about your actual music career now. What do you guys do? What did you guys do to kind of build the skills to be superstar performers, superstar musicians? You know, what time, what effort did you focus on to be who you are today now when you get up on stage or when you're just playing guitar for yourself?
Well, I'll start by saying for at least 4 or 5 years, we played over 150 shows a year. So just like anything, repetition makes you better, you know, and we would continue to try to get better at singing, get better at performing, figure out little moments in the show to create, and just trying to master that craft. We also usually write anywhere from 65 to 100 songs in a year. So that's the same thing, you know, we love it so much, but we show up day in and day out. Not every song is a hit, but we're chasing that song high, you know, and I think just the repetition, man, and the work and the passion. I mean, a lot of hours go into it. And then in the studio, it's the same thing. I mean, we don't spend quite as many hours just living in the studio, but when it's our life is definitely sort of divided up into seasons. You have touring season, you have more writing season and recording season. And, you know, so when we are in the recording season, we're hitting the studio pretty hard as well and really trying to master our voice and sing better and better. And it's just like working out. It's just like a muscle. Your voice is a muscle. Performing is a muscle, all those things. So we just want to stay in the gym. You know, we really want to continue to grow the muscle, but also, you know, not let it get out of shape, if you will. So, and that's the whole spectrum of what we do: the writing, the recording, the performing, the touring. So yeah, I don't know if that answered the question, but that's
Yeah.
where my head went.
Any tips for rising musicians or people who want to be involved in music or just have a passion to kind of improve and get better? Anything to give to them?
Do it with people that are better than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'd say just immerse yourself in what you want to learn and what you want to know, you know, whether that's if you're a songwriter, you know, just there's a lot of great songwriting books out there. There's a lot of stuff you can learn on YouTube. You know, you can just kind of study songs and kind of figure out why they hit you, what you like about them. I just, you know, I think find your own voice, find your own unique take on music, your own way with lyrics. And yeah, I just say never give up. You know, if you feel like there's a calling inside of you, chase that down till you think it's done. So you can't be afraid of no. There's going to be no's along the way. So go ahead and put that out there. So it's all good. You're going to have to get past some no's to get some really good yeses. And that's going to build your character. That's going to build your work ethic. That's going to make you who your best self one day. So I just say any barriers that come your way, hop over them. Just, you know, and try to master your craft. It's going to take a long time. I think Tyler and I both, I mean, we're always trying to get better. We don't have it figured out by any means. You know, we're, you know, what we've done is in the past. So every day forward, you know, that God gives us, we're trying to make the most of. And whether that's writing a song, sing vocals, you know, anything, man, play a live show, whatever, just trying to do our best. So always trying to get better, always continuing to be a student, you know, and surround yourself with people that are better, just like Tyler said. So, man, try to be a sponge, soak it up.
yeah. So now to kind of your big break, you know, in 2012, you put out Cruise, which was one of the most successful country songs of all time. And that was kind of a tipping point for you guys in your career. But before that, was there any period where you kind of knew you were like, we're going to make it, all this work has paid off? And how'd you know that you were at that point in your life?
I think it's multiple moments of feeling like, man, this is a pivotal moment, or this is a big win, or whatever. I think that one of the first ones was when we signed a publishing deal that we got a $1,500 draw every month, which meant we could pay our bills and literally not have to wash cars or paint houses, and we could just focus on writing songs. So for us to be able to know that music was going to pay our bills, that was huge. And that was in 2012. Same year that we recorded and released Cruise, which that was the second wave of when Cruise started reacting and people started showing up to shows and singing the words. We looked at each other like, oh, okay, this song's working, and this is what it feels like. So we just kind of rode that wave and continued to build fans and connect with them and see where it took us. And it's been an incredible journey. But I would say those two moments for sure were pretty pivotal in our career.
Yeah. Brian, any other pivotal spots for you that really stand out?
I mean, so many of them, man. I mean, it literally, they all the dots connect to where we are today, you know, first publishing deal, first tour, first record deal, first, all those moments, man. So, I mean, I just feel like we're counting our blessings, but again, you know, I think Tyler and I really just tried to double down on our career and really tried to scale our career and our brand and our music in a sense of, with that immediate, quick, what might seem overnight success, we were still hitting it hard in terms of creating and back in the studio and writing and putting out music and really trying to getting outside cuts and just really in love with the music and that process. And once you get the taste of a song that's connected with millions of people, I mean, that's an unbelievable feeling. It's humbling, it's exciting, it's exhilarating. It's part of what we feel is our calling. So, I mean, we're just living out our dreams, and it's like, hey, we want more of that, whatever it takes to do more of that. So we were just investing in ourselves, investing back into, you know, our brand and everything. So, you know, I think when that wave comes, I think you take it and you try to figure out how you can make it bigger, and you keep showing up. Tyler, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a period of years where we didn't say no to anything. I mean, you couldn't, you didn't want to.
Yeah.
Every opportunity. I mean, big, small, whatever. I mean, we were there. You show up, and you just, that's kind of what you have to do. So, man, just forever grateful for every opportunity that's come our way, you know, and just every breath that we get, man, it's all a blessing, and it's all part of the story. And again, just to anybody that's out there listening, just stick with it. You know, there's going to be hard days. I'm like, literally, I think we're talking truth of, I remember when my fingers used to hurt, you know, working through calluses of playing guitar and thinking that, you know, when you're 15, 16 years old, you're not going to get through that. And that sucks. And you're just, Tyler, you remember that feeling where you're like, man, I don't even know if I'm going to make it to a D chord. I've learned one chord.
Totally.
It's just frustrating.
Totally.
And, you know, the next thing you know, you're hitting it right and you're playing a couple chords, and it just, you want more of it. So keep chasing dreams out there, y'all. If you're listening, so yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah. You know, it did work out and you start to succeed. You've had your big break. You're going on tours. Up to now, what are the big obstacles that you've really had to come over, you know, criticism, anything like that? And how do you deal with those struggles once you've reached a pinnacle of success?
I think music, man. I think anything that hadn't been too much negative or anything, but I think we all, the greatest thing about what we do is we take everything out with us on the stage. You know, it's like, that's kind of like our church. That's kind of our outlet. That's, you know, we didn't have it this year, obviously, but you know, that connection with the fans, that energy, those moments in the concerts and the shows are just amazing. So that's just a whole nother thing in itself.
Yeah. Tyler, anything for you with kind of dealing with criticism or overcoming obstacles at the pinnacle, not on the way there?
I think, like I said, we're just driven by challenges, driven by, if there was any criticism, it pretty much just drove us to work harder and to prove everybody wrong. And I think, you know, having that mentality has been beneficial, because you definitely have haters along the way. And I think anybody that's successful will, but I think, you know, for us, we just didn't let it bother us too much. We didn't, you know, sit around and ponder that too much. We just sort of let it drive us. But like BK said, you know, we didn't have there wasn't tons and tons of backlash, you know, or anything like that. I mean, there were, you know, we heard things here and there, but we just, like I said, we just kept our head down and kept doing what we loved. And, ultimately, if we made music that we loved, that was the goal, and that's what we were pursuing, and we weren't too concerned about what everybody else was saying. So, and I think now that the biggest challenge is just kind of maintaining, being on top and staying on top, and continuing to ride that wave and being smart, being strategic, and figuring out what's next and how to recreate things, and just being strategic on planning, the next chapter of our careers, if you will.
Yeah, of course. So now I kind of want to zoom out and talk big picture about the real failures or kind of down moments in your life those challenges that you did have to overcome, and how you were able to kind of use them as fuel. Tyler, I know you mentioned before one particular tough moment was when you lost your dad. Would you be willing to speak about that moment and kind of how you dealt with that? Obviously, you don't have to if you're not comfortable speaking on that.
No, I don't mind. Not at all. I would say that was probably one of the tougher moments in my life. I mean, being broke for quite a few years was a struggle as well, but losing him so unexpectedly and so graphically, and so it was just like one of those moments in life where it just, the impossible happened, and what you thought would never happen and you did. And but again, one of those things where I learned a ton. My faith became even stronger. I really leaned in on, the Lord through that process, and kind of definitely felt him giving me unbelievable amounts of peace, and just kind of taking care of me through the process. So that was just incredible. And I will say that even to this day, I think me losing him has made me who I am, and it's inspired me to be a better guy, a better dad. And so, and even along the way, I mean, he's definitely somebody that I wanted to make proud, even with the music, even with the career. And I always feel like he's looking at us from above and just proud of us. And, definitely one of the struggles though, where I didn't know, the biggest struggle was where do I go from here? Who do I turn to? Do I stay home and run the tree business, or do I go back to Nashville and pursue music and finish college? And so making those first few pivotal decisions when you're not really in a state to be making good decisions was probably one of the tougher parts of it, while you're in the grieving stages, trying to make life altering decisions, so fortunately I just I leaned into what I thought he wanted me to do and what God wanted me to do, and that was come back to Nashville and pursue music. He was a huge fan of me doing the music thing, and always encouraged me to do it. So that was one of my biggest struggles, but also one of my biggest motivators.
Yeah, of course. Brian, do you have any
I'm going to
moments?
take a 2-minute pee break. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Brian, do you have any moments like that really stand out to you?
Man, I just say for me, the toughest moment for me was probably not getting much playing time at Florida State when I was playing baseball there. And that was the moment where, I knew I was leaving, but I also knew that there was maybe another calling inside of me. I had been writing songs for my first 2 years at Florida State in my little apartment room, and really just writing songs during class even. All I could think about was music. Definitely baseball and pitching, but there was a new love in my life, and that was music. So for me to kind of accept that and to say, hey, life might not be going exactly where I thought it was going, and in a good way. And that taught me an immediate lesson. And the more I think about it now, it's like, man, you really never know what God's got in store for you. The big dreams that we're dreaming, God's got something way bigger in mind, and so I'm just thankful for, the fact that I felt like God had opened a door, and I walked through it, man. And, there's a lot of different things that had to connect along the way, but I'm thankful for, that other calling inside of me where I could have acted on it or I could have not, and my life could have gone. I could be talking to somebody else right now. And to me, it's those moments, man. You get a couple of them in life where life goes one way or life goes the other, and so sometimes we don't have control of that. And another reason to just be super grateful for every morning, every day that you get, every breath. And, again, just super thankful for Tyler and I and our relationship and just our bond and our music that's taken us all around the world, and our fans that are just super loyal and amazing. And it's been a wild ass ride. I cannot believe it. I mean, we're talking truth of dreams come true, with a lot of hard work, amazing fans, and a lot of great people behind us, and just mind blown, man.
Yeah. Another big part of what you guys have done has been kind of collaboration and mentorship in music, working with other people, but also kind of getting advice and learning from other musicians. Is there anyone that stands out as super important mentors to you guys in your life who taught you different lessons or different values than maybe what your parents had expressed or other people in your life had expressed?
I mean, this is kind of a broad answer. I mean, I think we've learned something from everybody. And I think we've had a lot of people in and out of our life over the last 10 years has been, a big part of making us who we are. With every artist that we've collaborated with, we've definitely learned from. But the person that comes right to mind is somebody that I don't know if you guys even know, but her name is Leslie DePiro. She runs our publishing company, and we call her Mama Les. And she's just somebody who's always inspiring and always encouraging and great to talk to. And she's obviously not an artist that we've done collaborations with, but she's a big part of just making us who we are, and even reinstilling morals and values and reminding us of values. I think it's, as opposed to being different than how we were brought up, I think it's more aligned than anything. But having that person in our life that's not only helping us run our publishing company in a really, really great way, but she also manages on a human level. She manages us, she manages our writers, and by manages, I mean she listens to our hearts and she talks to us, and she is a great mentor. And so we've been fortunate to have her. And I mean, by now we have quite a good list of people that we would probably consider mentors. I think it's really important to have those people that even, Roger on the financial side, look up to him a ton. He speaks another language I can't even understand, but I really, he's one of those people too that I know I can call and ask a question and get some mentorship. Lou Taylor, a lot of our team, that we trust, and people that have our back. It's cool to have them and to be able to, even to our pastor. I know Judah Smith is somebody that's influenced us a lot, and he's a amazing pastor at a church called Church Home, and having him as a friend and a mentor. But I mean, we got a lot of friends they kind of coexist as friends and mentors at times, depending on what day it is. But we're really thankful for good people around us. It's important.
Yeah. So as we come to the close with the time, I'll just ask you a couple wrap-up questions. First is, are there any musicians you'd like to work with, or you guys like listening to and kind of think are next up in the country industry?
That's the $1 million question.
That's a good question. Somebody we haven't worked with. Let's see here. I will say, I think Kanan Smith's about to have he's our buddy. He's on our Around Here Records label, and he's working on a really special project right now. He'll hopefully be out in a month or two, but he just got a really cool, feels like a new sound, very authentic, and just love all the hard work and dedication and all the detail he's put into it. So I just say, I think we're obviously pulling for him, and just really excited for the public and fans and the press and everybody to really sink their teeth into his project and really get to know him even better. So I think our bets are on Kanan Smith for sure. And obviously Ray Lynn, who's also on our label, and Blake Redfarron. And, we've got a lot of talented artists that we're pulling for that are on our label for sure. So that's a little side clip, but any other artists that we, Tyler, anybody you would on your list?
Man, I would say that for me personally, it's always more fun to do music with somebody. So I would say with just about every song we write, if it's not an automatic FGL song, we're always thinking, well, and even if it is an automatic FGL song, it's like, well, should we put somebody on this? Should we feature somebody? So for me, with every single song we write, I'm always thinking like, well, who would like this, or would this be, who would be drawn to this, and who would this be the perfect fit for? So I just think that's the ever evolving question.
Yeah, of course. So now for my final questions. Now that you've reached a pinnacle of success in the music world, how would you guys define success?
Man, I mean, really doing what you love and being able to make it a living, make a living at it. This is beyond our wildest dreams. So, I mean, we're beyond grateful, beyond thankful, but man, we really enjoy it. It's really fun. Obviously, I mean, people are probably like, duh, you guys get to play music, but man, I mean, again, we writing songs and watching them come to life in the studio and then taking them out on tour and people showing up and partying their faces off. And there's a connection that goes beyond us, I guess. It's spiritual, man. When you're out in a field, you're in an amphitheater, you're in an arena, a stadium, and there's just music and people, and it's amazing, man. It keeps calling us back. I think we're addicted to it. So it's awesome, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Just to kind of reiterate, I mean, I think it's definitely doing what we love and what our passion is, and part of, definitely doing what our calling is. We feel like this is what we're meant to do, what we're made for. And when you're in that zone, it's really rewarding and fulfilling. And, success, in my opinion, success is counted by, how many dollars of joy you get each day, as opposed to like, I mean, it's really not a number in the bank account. I mean, I can tell you that for sure. Because I've had zero and I've had a lot, and it doesn't change how you feel, right, at all. So for me, it's more of a personal, man, like success is calibrated on how many joy points you can have, in life, and how much
Yeah.
your daily schedule, it brings excitement and joy and fulfillment, and I think a lot of that's music, a lot of it's kids, a lot of it's family, and a lot of it's being, doing things that you enjoy doing, just playing. So
yeah. Guys, thank you so much for everything. At the end of each interview, I like to do a final segment called the PowerPoints, which is 3 pieces of advice from our conversation. If someone could only remember 3 things from your life experience, from our conversation, what are those 3 pieces of advice that you would give? You can do 3 individual, or you can combine to do 3.
I'd just say, work your butt off, try to outwork everybody. Don't give up. Stay positive.
Yeah. Well, I like what BK said earlier about you're going to hear a lot of no's before you hear the big yes. So prepare for hearing no, and don't let it get you too down. Continue to show up, like BK said. That's important as well. And try to figure out what you love doing the most and how to make money doing that, and and how to turn that into a job. And that's my 3. But I also want to say before we leave is, didn't we, first of all, just to blanket this whole conversation, BK mentioned this earlier, but I meant to say this at the beginning, like, thank you for trusting us to even ask these questions too. But like, we definitely don't have it figured out. We're continuing to learn and grow as we grow as humans and as people and as artists and businessmen and all that. So we're on the same journey, and we're all figuring it out together. It's fun to talk about these things and learn from each other, but you're on the right track. I'm extremely impressed by you. I'm impressed by your questions and how you can chat with us about real meaningful stuff. And dude, you got a huge future ahead of you. And, even the fact that you're even thinking like this already is huge. So I just say, keep doing what you're doing, man, because you're gonna whatever it is, it's gonna be great.
Keep crushing it, Will.